You're listening to the 92nd edition of the Bitachon podcast. We continue in pasukim from Dovid Hamelech. Says the passuk in the Hillel, it is better to trust in Hashem than to trust in a human being. It's better to trust in Hashem than to trust even in philanthropists, even in those who are wealthy and they are nedivim, they want to give to others. But there's nothing like trusting in Hashem. Says Rashi, what does the word chesien mean? It means to be protected in the shade, but the shade, it protects a little bit, right? If it's very hot outside, the shade is not going to help you very much. So we're talking about a small amount of protection. Or like if it's raining, right, and you come under the trees, right? You see all the trees around me? So you come under the trees, it's going to protect you a bit, but the rain, you know what I'm saying? If it's raining, it's raining. Nevertheless, that small amount of trust in Hashem, mivtah mi bitoyach davar bari v'samech chazak, says Rashi, it's better to trust a little bit in Hashem than to put one's full trust in a human being. Because this small trust in Hashem is greater than a very powerful trust in a human being. So Dovid Hamelech is teaching us an interesting thing, because you might say, look, I know my level, I know who I am. I know I'm not the biggest Bitachon. A little bit Bitachon I'll have. I got to do a lot of hishtadlus before I start to feel like I can really trust in Hashem. So maybe it's better for me not to trust in Hashem at all, maybe just trust in people. I know this guy's going to help me. He's helped me in the past. No, says Dovid Hamelech, don't make that mistake. It's better to trust a little bit in Hashem than to put all of one's faith in a human being. You've got a better chance. Toiv lachzai, says the Radak, v'kafel passuk l'chazek inyan. The passuk says it twice. It's better to trust in Hashem than trusting in a human being, and it's better to trust in Hashem than trusting in a generous human being. Why does the passuk say it twice? It says it twice because it wants to be machazek the inyan. It wants to strengthen it. It wants to underscore. Dovid Hamelech wants us to know it's really better to trust in Hashem than even to trust in a generous human being. B'nedivim im kihem ha'ma'ulim sheb'bnei adam, says the Metzudas David. A nediv is somebody who's generous, who's a philanthropist. He's somebody who gives. Nevertheless, says Metzudas David, it's still better to trust in Hashem than even to trust in a very good human. Now let's see the Malbim. The Malbim talks about this a little bit more at length. What he means to say is like this. A human being, if someone trusts in a human being, so what will he get? He'll get a little protection. Because the concept of chisayon means I'm already under the person's wing. I'm already protected by this person, right? A child to a parent. So the child wants to trust in his parent because they've always all their life trusted in their parent, right? But it's still not going to work out. As good as Bitachon Hashem chisayon, but trusting in Hashem is a much more powerful type of trusting, right? If you want to know about being under the wing of somebody who you're already under the wing of, we can talk about Hashem much better than a parent even. Because by trusting in Hashem, He's been there all along for me, and He's much more powerful than any human being who has ever helped me. That's why Dovid Hamelech, King David, says that it's better to trust in Hashem than to trust in a human being, because Hashem has much more power. Because when we talk about it comparatively to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God, my trust in a human being is just, it doesn't come close to the type of trust that I can depend upon in Hashem. And Dovid Hamelech explains, the Malbim is coming to explain that there are two reasons why it's not a good idea to trust in a human being. Aleph, the This is something I feel like we've heard before, but it's always worth, of course, going over. A human being, I don't know for sure that he's going to fulfill my request. Right? That's a regular person. I don't know if the person is going to, maybe he's not going to feel generous today, this person. Maybe he doesn't have the money to help me out. Maybe he's not interested in helping me out. Even when it comes to trusting in a nadiv, a generous person, a person who, generally speaking, does help out others, it's still better to trust in Hashem. More so than trusting in a nadiv, a generous person, for the second reason. Sometimes a person might be generous, but he might not have the money on hand, let's say, to give right now. Or he might not have the emotional strength right now. He might be going through something himself, right? So, trusting in a human being, it's not guaranteed. Dovid Hamelech says trusting in Hashem is guaranteed. Hashem is always there. Hashem always has the emotional capacity, so to speak, to take care of me. Hashem always has all of the wherewithal to take care of me. It's not like a human being. So, it's a good idea. Dovid Hamelech is giving us advice. Trust in Hashem. Don't trust in a human being. Now we have a passuk, Tehillim Kuf Yud Tes, which is interesting because chapter 119 is King David telling us all of the milas, the advantages of the limud haTorah, of studying the Torah. Ve'enech chorfi davar. Pasuk says in chapter 119, verse 42. It's an extensive chapter. It says, "Ve'enech chorfi davar." I responded to those who would be sharp with me with the following word: "Kivotachti b'dvarecha." I trusted in your word, Hashem. So it's interesting here because it's kind of a little bit of a switch. We'll have to see what this means, but it's a little bit of a switch. We're used to thinking about trusting in Hashem. What does it mean to trust in His word, to trust in the Torah? What does that mean? So we've spoken about in the past. Chafetz Chaim says, if you're doing what's right, you can have more bitachon. If you're doing the right thing, right? Which means that if I'm aligning myself with Hashem's will, if I'm doing the word of Hashem, if I'm doing the will of Hashem, if I'm fulfilling the Torah, if I appreciate the value of the Torah as the instruction book, the manual for life provided by Hashem, so I have a more powerful reason and a more powerful connection, which guarantees that my bitachon will be effective. The Radak says, who's the one who's attacking me, who's being sharp with me? It's the one who says that Hashem is not going to save me, right? Hashem is not going to save me, that says save my enemies. But I respond to those enemies and I say, Ki b'tachti b'dvarecha, shetekaymenuli. But I trusted in your word. I trusted in your Torah. I trusted in your promise, which you made in the Torah, which is that you will fulfill me, that you will fulfill it for me, that you will keep me in existence. It says the Metzudas David, I'll respond to those who speak sharply with me as follows. Ritzani Lemar, Divrei Choruf kasher diber elai. The words of the sharp one, the words of the attacker, who said to me, Ki b'tachti b'dvarecha. I'm going to respond to that person, and I'm not going to be afraid. Why? Because I trusted in your word, Asher Tachtani, that you promised me, Shelo yuchali, that my enemies will not have power over me. L'chein adaber v'lo yira. Therefore, I will speak. I won't be afraid. Right? Because it can be hard. When we have bitachon, it can be hard to keep our bitachon strong. Right? Because we have to tell the people around us, I have bitachon. I am sure. I am positive. I am absolutely solid. I have full confidence that Hashem will give me my needs. He will provide me with what I need. But the people around me, how do I have to put up a show? I have to keep putting on I might know inside of my heart, but everyone's asking me questions. Hey, what's going to be? Are we going to pay the bills? All the things that come up, When you're a Baal Bitachon, you face off with challenges. That's the reality. But Hashem has a promise. Hashem promises us. It's very interesting. Where's the promise? It's in the Torah. The Torah makes a promise. The Torah makes a promise. If you trust in Hashem, your trust will be fulfilled. So Dovid Hamelech is saying, I need not be afraid. I need not be afraid of all those who will challenge my Bitachon. Because my Bitachon is strong. Because I'm trusting in your promise, Hashem, in your word. Now we have another passuk. The Shir Hamalis, in the Song of Ascents. A song, what does it mean? A song of Hamalis, of going up, rising towards Hashem. Haboitchem Hashem, kahar tzion. This is such a powerful passuk. Those who trust in Hashem, they are like the mountain of Zion. Har Tzion, mountain of Zion. It's a powerful mountain. Right? Har Tzion is the Har HaBayis. It's the impenetrable wall, it's the impenetrable temple, the impenetrable Beis HaMikdash, the house of holiness. Lo yimot lo olam yeshev. When a person has trust, they are like that impenetrable mountain. They will not falter. They will sit forever. They will be there forever. Now let's see the explanation of the Malbim together. Shir HaMalis. Yevar sha'aseichel mechayev. Ki b'teach b'shem chasidi sayvevenu. We're explaining here that there's an intellectual requirement. The intellect requires of us to trust in Hashem. Why? Because when a person trusts in Hashem, he's surrounded by kindness. Right? Do you want to be surrounded by kindness? I want to be surrounded by kindness. Right? I want to be surrounded by a sense of protection, by a sense of courage, confidence. So, passuk tells us, King David tells us, if you trust in Hashem, you're surrounded by kindness. You get everything good in the world. So, intellectually, of course I want to be B'teach. Those who trust in Hashem, it is absolutely certain that they will find in Him protection and strength. Interesting, same language that we used before, machseva ois. That protection and strength by those who are under the wings of the divine presence. So these people, they're like the Har Tzion, they're like the mountain of Zion, the Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount, that they will not falter. Why does this mountain? What's so special about Har Tzion, about the Temple Mount, which, if you're listening to the news today in Israel, so it's in the news today, right? What's so special about Har HaBayis? It's Ba'asher hu mechonon al harim. It's established, it's placed upon the mountains, Ugvois, Asher Svivoisov. There are mountains and valleys that surround it. Yeshav la'olam. Right? What's the next passuk saying? Shalayim harim savivla. Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains. Hashem saviv la'amoy. Right? What are mountains strategically? Think about it. Mountains protect you. If marauders want to come, invaders want to come, it's very difficult. If you have to traverse mountains, go up and down through the valleys, it's very hard to penetrate and to get in to the holy mountain of Har Tzion, to the Har HaBayis. Why? It's protected on all sides. Ube'er ki hadavar hazeh kal v'chomer. And Dovid Hamelech is explaining that this matter is actually a kal v'chomer. It's certainly true. Ki ala Yerushalayim rak harim savivla. Jerusalem, what's its protection? It's a physical protection. It's nice. It's awesome. It's powerful. It's really good. Kol b'tchaynahu rak tivi ala harim shesvivoisel. All of its sense of confidence, so to speak, of Jerusalem, the confidence there is that it's surrounded by mountains. And therefore, it's a natural protection. But the passuk is telling us, King David is revealing to us that the congregation of Hashem certainly has nothing to fear. We will not falter. We are protected in a much greater way. The congregation of Hashem, which trusts in Hashem, certainly Hashem surrounds us. I think about it, the Jews in the Midbar, the Jews in the wilderness, right? They were surrounded by the clouds of glory, protected them from any enemies, from the onslaught of anyone who would try to come and hurt them, any wild animals. They were completely surrounded. They could see tangibly that Hashem was protecting them. And this is also true of us. God is much more powerful than the protection of mountains that surround a person. And this is a protection that stands for us certainly forever and ever. Right? The mountains, who knows how long they'll last? Who knows if an earthquake could come and the mountains could be swallowed up by the earth? Who knows what could happen, right? But HaKadosh Baruch Hu's protection, that's something that's guaranteed. And that is forever. Let's learn together one more passuk. This is in Tehillim Kuf Mem Gimel, pasuk Ches. Hashmieni b'boker chazdecha. Let me hear in the morning your kindness. Ki v'chova tachti, for I trusted in you. Hoidieni derech zu, eleich. Show me this way that I will go, ki elecha nasasi nafshi. Because I lifted up my soul towards you. Bikesh, says the Malvim, that Dovid Hamelech is requesting, Sheyashuv ruchai el nidnoi v'shar v'chaim. He's asking that his soul be returned from its movement, and he should remain alive. He's recommending, let me hear in the morning your kindness. You know, it's so dark. I want to see the morning light. And with it, the string of kindness of the news, Hashem. And in the middle of the night, it seems so dark. It seems like he's not going to make it. It seems like the gauze is too deep. It seems like we've been through too much. How will we get to the other side? But there's a sound coming. I hear the sound. There's a sound of good news. There's a light on the horizon. Shechayehu Hashem. He sees that Hashem has let him live until this moment. When does this come? How do I know that this is going to happen? How do I know, says Dovid Hamelech, if I made it this far, if I've gone through the night, and here I see and I hear the light of the morning. Let me hear that the morning is piercing through this darkness, because I trusted in you. It comes because of our trust. Our Bitachon is what brings us to the morning. Derech zu eleich, says the Metzudas David, haderech asher eleich bo. Show me the path that I can go upon. Linatzal miyad ha'oyev, so I can be just saved from my enemy. Nasasi nafshi, I raised up my soul. And yinoisei nafshi lamalo, l'stakel b'cho v'livtoyach alecho. I raise my soul above. I direct myself to my soul's calling, right? There's a voice inside of my heart. My soul speaks to me, which is really Hashem's voice. And it reminds me, Hashem, I need to turn to you. I need to look to you. I need to trust in you. And when I do that, I'm asking Hashem, it's very interesting, it's very beautiful. Dovid Hamelech is giving us a suggestion, we could say. He's saying, ask Hashem for a sign. Ask Hashem for a spark. Ask Hashem for a little bit of light within that darkness that you're experiencing. We go through the night, we go through the darkness, we go through the hard times, we go through the troubles. We don't know where the salvation will come from, but we're saying, Dovid Hamelech is saying to us, ask Hashem for a little bit of light. Listen to your soul. Let yourself be raised up by your soul's calling. Let yourself be raised up. And focus, turn towards, look towards Hashem. And He will give you that sign. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again next time.